Good morning, dear students. Welcome to Bishop Academy online classes. Today, we have to get discussed over the second chapter of history, the establishment of company power from trade to territory. Today's topic is the growth of East India Company in India. So here, the journey of East India Company get started in Britain. Certain circumstances are responsible for it. In 1588, English become supreme naval power in Europe after defeating Spain. Okay, so getting advantage of their victory, British merchants organized themselves in East India Company to trade with Eastern Asian countries to benefit with the trade which European countries possess. Queen Elizabeth also granted these persons, that is the merchant of Britain or England, charter on December 31st, 16. This year is also considered as the establishment of British East India Company, and from that time the company started to operate. The second stage of the East India Company began when Sir Hawkins, the ambassador of British King James I, visited the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir in 1609. So here you find, after the establishment of company, after 9 years, a person from Britain gets succeeded in reaching the court of Jahangir, the Mughal emperor, in 1609 and got a farman, that is a government order of king, to set up an English factory at Surat. And this is the time when East India Company become operational in our country. The English defeated the Portuguese in 1612 and started to expand their business in India. Before the arrival of these Englishmen, the Portuguese were the prominent trade power in India, having monopoly over Indian trade. So when English defeated Portuguese in trade war, then their operation started to decrease day by day, and British increased their operations or trade in India. Along with it, after some time, Sir Thomas Roe succeeded in getting permission to carry on trade in Surat and open a factory at Agra, Ahmedabad and Bharuch. These three important cities. So it indicates that at that time these are the trade centers of India, and from these places British could be benefited a lot, and that's why they get permission to trade from these towns. Now in 1639 they obtained a piece of land from Raja of Chandragiri in South India and founded the city of Madras, that is come to be known as Chennai in modern time. So here you find in South India the growth of British company could not be curtailed by any of the rulers. As I told you in previous videos that King of Calicut, Jamorin, permitted Portuguese to build or trade in this particular region, and suddenly after some time Portuguese defeated the King Jamorin and occupy what? Calicut. So here they built Fort St. George and made it headquarters of the English settlement in India. So at that time, from 1639, this Madras considered as the control center for East India Company. Soon after some time, in 1650, the company was allowed to trade in Bengal by Nawab of Bengal. In 1661, British King Charles II allowed the company to issue coins, to build forts, to maintain army and to declare war or make peace in India. A autonomy has been granted to the East India Company so that it could run the administration and control of the company prominently. At that time, there are various type of problems which traders are facing, like the problem of thugs, robbers and so many other personals. So due to entire these things, the British King Charles II provided them a lot of power. In 1668, King Charles II handed over Bombay to the company in merely rent of 50 pounds a year. This islands of Bombay or Mumbai he get as dowry while his marriage. In the same year, company granted exemption from the payment of custom duties in Bengal by the Nawab of Bengal. Okay? And in exemption of, or you can say in return of this exemption, the company have to pay 3,000 rupees per annum to Nawab of Bengal. In 1698, company acquired 3 villages in Bengal and built Fort William around it. This act triggered the Nawab of the Bengal. He is annoyed with the formation of this fort in Kolkata, and it is open challenge to the authority of Nawab of Bengal, and that's why both these persons, that is East India Company and Nawab of Bengal, came in conflict with each other. Okay? In 1757, East India Company involved in war with Nawab of Bengal and got right to revenue in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha as a reward of defeated him. So, in Battle of Plassey, Nawab of Bengal defeated by East India Company, and in return of this defeat, he permitted the company to collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. This revenue provided a lot of benefit and wealth to British East India Company. In 1764, English defeated the combined armies of Nawab of Bengal, Nawab of Awadh and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II in the Battle of Buxar. Okay? And it is the time when the military might of Englishmen established in India. Okay? Taking advantage of entire these things, Robert Clive lay foundation for Treaty of Subsidiary Alliance. This subsidiary alliance is a treaty of friendship, okay, with two nations created by French Governor Dupleix. Okay. So, this treaty considered as beneficial by Robert Clive, and he worked a lot to apply the terms and conditions of this treaty for the welfare of what? East India Company in India. Lord Wellesley was the person that applied it in India to establish peace and security. Okay? Under this treaty, most of the Indian states established friendly relations with East India Company, which in later become very hazardous for them, and slowly the British adopted the policy of divide and rule and annexed one state after another, and they engulf entire India. Lord Dalhousie prepared a new policy, doctrine of lapse, under which if an Indian ruler died without a valid heir, then his state were controlled and captured by British East India Company. Okay? So, due to this policy, the people of India started to stand against East India Company, and there are clashes with the company in various regions of India. Revolt of 1857 was the peak representation of these dissentiments, okay, and it shook down the rule of East India Company in India, and Indian administration went in hands of British Parliament. So, this is the reason why the historian considered revolt of 1857 as the first freedom struggle of India, as the people of India get freedom from the company rule. Okay? In 1947, India come out from the control of British Parliament and declare itself as sovereign country. Okay? But still most of the administrative and economical policies run on the lines of English East India Company. So, here we find that though the rule of company become over in India, still its term, condition, rule, regulations practiced in India in different socio-economical and administrative spheres. Okay? So, with entire these things, the topic of the growth of East India Company become over. On the next day, we meet with detailed study of the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. Thank you.